In October of 2020, a team in white protective suits walked into a patch of woods near Blaine, Washington after dark. They carried a vacuum hose and rolls of plastic wrap. They sealed a hollow tree, cut into it, and started pulling insects out one by one. Inside were hornets the length of a human thumb, and close to 200 young queens, each one capable of starting a nest of her own the following spring. That's what this video is about. Not just insects that bite, the ones that kill, the ones that carry something worse than venom, the ones you will never see behind glass at a zoo, because no insurance policy and no keeper protocol makes them worth the risk. These are 15 insects so dangerous that no zoo dares to keep them. But before we start, subscribe to our channel and leave your like. Now, let's begin. Number 15, Tarantula hawk wasp. It is metallic blue with rust orange wings, and it can reach 5 centimeters across. It hunts tarantulas. It finds one, provokes it out of its burrow, dodges the fangs, and drives a sting almost 7 millimeters long into the joint of a leg. The spider is paralyzed, not killed. The wasp drags it back underground, lays a single egg on its abdomen, and seals the entrance. The larva hatches and eats the spider from the inside, saving the vital organs for last, so the meal stays fresh. For humans, the sting is rarely dangerous. It is simply by the measurements of entomologists who have been stung deliberately one of the most painful experiences an insect can deliver. The advice given to victims is not medical. It is to lie down and scream, because you will fall anyway. Number 14, bullet ant. It lives in the rainforests of Central and South America. It grows to about 2.5 centimeters, and it earned its name honestly. People stung by one describe it as being shot. The pain arrives in waves, comes with uncontrollable shaking, and does not fade for a full 24 hours. The venom contains a neurotoxin that locks up nerve signaling, which is why the trembling is involuntary. Among the Tsetse Mau people of the Brazilian Amazon, this insect is part of an initiation ritual. Dozens of bullet ants are sedated and woven into gloves made of leaves, stingers facing inward. A boy puts his hands inside and keeps them there. To be considered a man, he does it more than 20 times over the years. No zoo exhibit could ever justify holding a colony of these. Number 13, human botfly. This one does not sting, and that is exactly the problem. The adult fly does not approach you at all. It catches a mosquito in midair, glues its eggs to the mosquito's body, and releases it. The mosquito finds you. Your body heat triggers the eggs to hatch, and the larvae drop onto your skin and burrow in through the bite hole. What follows is a lump that itches, then aches, then moves. The larva grows inside the tissue for several weeks, holding a breathing hole open to the surface with backward-facing spines that make it almost impossible to pull out. People have carried them home from vacations in Central America and only discovered the passenger when it started to shift under the skin at night. Number 12, red imported fire ant. It arrived in the United States through the port of Mobile, Alabama, sometime in the 1930s, almost certainly in soil used as ballast in cargo ships. It has since spread across the southern states and onto 3 other continents. A single mound can hold hundreds of thousands of workers, and they respond to a disturbance as one unit. They climb, they grip the skin with their jaws, and only then do they sting, pivoting in a circle to deliver several stings from the same anchor point. The venom is an alkaloid rather than a protein, which is why it produces that distinctive white pustule a day later. For people with an allergic reaction, a swarm attack is a medical emergency, and in the United States alone, the damage runs into billions of dollars a year. Number 11, driver ant. In parts of Central and Eastern Africa, they are called siafu, and a single colony can contain 20 million individuals. They have no permanent nest. The colony moves as a living column across the forest floor, sometimes forming bridges out of their own bodies to cross gaps, and everything in the path is either eaten or must leave. Cockroaches, spiders, rodents, snakes. The soldiers have jaws so strong that they will keep gripping after the body is removed, which is why rural communities have used them for generations as emergency stitches, pressing an ant across a wound and then twisting off the head. There are documented cases of livestock and even sleeping infants suffocating during a raid because the ants enter the airways. You do not fight a column of siafu, you wait. Number 10, Africanized honeybee. In 1957, at a research facility in Rio Claro, Brazil, 26 swarms of experimental hybrid bees escaped. The project was meant to produce a bee better suited to tropical heat. It worked. What it also produced was a bee that defends its hive with an intensity no European colony can match. A normal honeybee colony sends a handful of guards. An Africanized colony sends thousands, pursues intruders for hundreds of meters, and stays agitated for hours afterward. The individual sting is no more toxic than any other honeybee sting. The danger is arithmetic. Victims have received more than 1,000 stings in a single attack, and at that volume the venom load alone can kill a healthy adult. They now range from Argentina to the southern United States, and they arrived there on their own. Number 9, Asian giant hornet. It is the largest hornet on Earth. The queens reach 5 centimeters, with a wingspan of around 7 centimeters and a stinger long enough to punch through standard beekeeping fabric. The venom contains a compound that destroys tissue directly, and in Japan this insect is linked to roughly 30 to 50 deaths a year, mostly from massive envenomation or anaphylactic shock. Its most infamous behavior involves honeybees. A few dozen hornets can locate a hive, enter a slaughter phase, and decapitate tens of thousands of bees in a matter of hours, then carry the larvae home to feed their own young. Native Japanese honeybees evolved an answer. They swarm a scout, vibrate their flight muscles, and cook it alive inside a ball of bodies at a temperature the hornet cannot survive, and they can. Number 8, Maricopa harvester ant. This one is small, reddish, and completely unremarkable to look at. It lives in the deserts of Arizona, and it produces, drop for drop, the most toxic insect venom ever measured in a laboratory. By weight, it is more potent than the venom of most vipers. The reason nobody dies from it is simply supply. An ant this size carries a vanishingly small dose, and it would take hundreds of stings delivered at once to reach a lethal amount in a person. But the ants sting in coordinated groups. They release an alarm pheromone that recruits the rest of the colony within seconds, and the pain radiates outward from the site and lasts for hours. It is a reminder that in the insect world, the deadliest chemistry rarely comes in the biggest package. We are now entering the top 7, and from this point on, the danger stops being about venom at all. Number 7, kissing bug. It gets the name from its habit of biting near the mouth and eyes of sleeping people, because that is where skin is exposed. The bite is painless. That is deliberate. While it feeds, it defecates on the skin, and its waste can carry a parasite called Trypanosoma cruzi. The victim scratches, rubs the parasite into the wound, and the infection begins. This is Chagas disease. The first phase is mild enough to be mistaken for the flu, and then it goes quiet for 10, 20, sometimes 30 years, while the parasite slowly damages the heart muscle and the digestive tract. Around 6 to 7 million people are living with it, most of them in Latin America, and thousands die every year from heart failure caused by an insect bite they never felt and cannot remember. Number 6, Lonomia obliqua. It is not even an adult insect. It is a caterpillar, about 6 centimeters long, mottled brown and green, covered in soft-looking bristles that branch like tiny pine trees. It rests in groups on the trunks of trees in southern Brazil, camouflaged so effectively against bark that people lean on them, grab them, or brush past them without ever seeing them. The bristles break off in the skin and inject an anticoagulant so aggressive that it dismantles the victim's ability to clot. Bleeding starts from the gums, the nose, old scars, and in severe cases inside the brain and kidneys. Before an antivenom was developed at the Butantan Institute, this caterpillar killed a meaningful share of the people it touched. No other caterpillar on the planet is documented to do this. Number 5, Tsetse fly. It is about the size of a housefly. It feeds on blood, and it transmits the parasite that causes African sleeping sickness. The name is not poetic. The infection crosses into the central nervous system and destroys the sleep cycle itself. Victims fall asleep during the day and lie awake through the night, then progress into confusion, personality changes, seizures, and eventually a coma from which they do not return. Untreated, it is almost always fatal. What makes the tsetse remarkable is not just what it carries, but what it prevented. For centuries, the belt of territory it occupies across sub-Saharan Africa was effectively closed to cattle herding because the same parasite kills livestock. A single fly shaped where agriculture could and could not exist across an entire continent. Number 4, black fly. It breeds in fast, clean, oxygen-rich water, which means the most dangerous places to live are the banks of the healthiest rivers. The bite itself is crude. The fly cuts the skin open and drinks from the pool that forms. What it can leave behind is a parasitic worm whose larvae migrate through the body's tissue, and when they die in the eye, they trigger inflammation that scars the cornea. This is river blindness. Millions of people have been infected across parts of Africa and Latin America, and entire villages were once abandoned as communities retreated from the water. Decades of mass drug distribution have pushed the disease out of several countries entirely, which makes this one of the few insects on this list humanity is genuinely winning against. Number 3, Sandfly. It is barely 3 millimeters long. It flies silently, and standard mosquito netting does not always stop it because it can pass straight through the mesh. It transmits leishmaniasis, and the disease takes more than one form. The cutaneous version produces open ulcers that can take a year to heal and leave permanent disfigurement, often on the face. The visceral version attacks the spleen, liver, and bone marrow, and without treatment, it kills the large majority of the people who develop it. Hundreds of thousands of new cases appear every year, concentrated in regions already dealing with conflict, displacement, and malnutrition. There is no vaccine for humans. Control depends on insecticide, netting, and finding cases early in exactly the places where healthcare is hardest to reach. Number 2, Oriental rat flea. It is roughly 2 millimeters long. It lives on rodents, and when its host dies, it moves to whatever warm body is nearest. Its role in history comes from a bacterium that blocks the flea's own gut, leaving it permanently starving. Unable to swallow, the flea bites again and again in desperation, and each failed attempt pushes bacteria back into the wound. That mechanism drove the Black Death through Europe in the 14th century, killing something close to a third of the population in a handful of years. It has caused pandemics before that and outbreaks since. Plague still appears today in the United States, Madagascar, and Central Asia. It is treatable now with antibiotics, but only if it is recognized fast, and it is not always recognized fast. Number 1, mosquito. It is the deadliest animal on Earth, and it is not close. Only the females bite, and they need blood, not for food, but for the protein to develop eggs. In doing so, they move malaria, dengue, yellow fever, Zika, chikungunya, and West Nile between human beings on a scale nothing else approaches. Malaria alone still kills well over 500,000 people every year, the majority of them children under 5 in sub-Saharan Africa. Roughly half the world's population lives in a place where mosquito-borne disease is a normal risk. We have spent more money and effort fighting this insect than any other species in history. Bed nets, insecticides, drained wetlands, genetically modified males released into the wild, and a malaria vaccine now reaching children in Africa. The numbers are finally falling. They are still enormous. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you enjoyed our content, subscribe to our channel and leave your like. Also, check out the other interesting videos that are appearing on your screen right now. And I will see you in the next video. See you next time.